fellow Toastmasters. As most of you know, I have traveled extensively. I spent a little time in Southeast Asia. I traveled through Thailand, across Laos, and into Vietnam, and down the coast of Vietnam. The story I'm going to tell you today is about my adventures in one of the small cities that I ended up in Vietnam. It was about noon or so, a sunny summer day, and I decided to wander around the city and see the sights. Just kind of check things out. I'm walking down the street, and I come to an intersection, and on the corner of the intersection is kind of I wouldn't want to call it a lunch cafe, it's more like a lunch wagon. It's a woman that had two bicycle tires slapped to the side of a cart, and in this cart was a hot plate wok type of thing that was powered by a propane tank, and she would pull some noodles out and some spices and assorted things and throw this stuff together, mix it up, and serve a hot lunch for probably less than 50 cents American. But next to her was a table with three kids, maybe 16, 18-year-old, and they had a bag of volleyballs down at their feet. And I looked at them, and I kind of went up and I said, "Xin chào." And they looked back at me and said, "Hello, xin chào." I go, "Oh, hey, do you speak English?" Blank stares. I'm like, "Do you play volleyball?" Blank stares. So I'm trying to communicate without using verbal communication, which is somewhat difficult. And I point the volleyball bag, and they kind of nod their head. And I open the volleyball bag up, and I take out a volleyball. And I start to set myself. And all of a sudden, they start grinning at us. And they start talking to each other. And immediately they understand that I'm trying to talk to them about volleyball. And so we are still trying to have this conversation. And I'm trying to ask them if they're going to be playing volleyball later. And they understood this. And the one kid takes my wrist, points at my watch, and goes like this. I take this to mean at 2 o'clock, they'll be having some sort of a get-together, volleyball game maybe. Perfect. So, I kind of make the same sign, and he points to this spot. So I'm thinking in my mind, great, I'm going to play some volleyball this afternoon. 2 o'clock, I'll be back here. And I wander off, and I kind of wave at them, and 2 o'clock, right? And I go wander down to the beach for a little while to kill some time. I have some lunch at the beach, and of course, a little side story. At the beach, I keep getting accosted by these really little Vietnamese kids, the shoe shine boys. "Shoe shine, mister? Shoe shine?" I look down, I'm like, "I'm wearing Birkenstocks. You can't shine toes." Didn't deter them. Around 2 o'clock, I go wandering back to this same spot, the same little corner cafe. And there's the same three guys waiting for me there. And they proceed to take me down the street, through a hole in this wire fence, and into this building. And turns out it's a dormitory. It's a 3-story dormitory, your typical dormitory rooms, very small, 4 or 5 people to a room. And there's a bunch of kids there. And they're all running around. Only maybe 2 or 3 speak any little tiny bit of broken English. And they take me from the dormitory down and around to this gymnasium. And it's set up, the volleyball court in the middle of the gymnasium. There is, along one wall, the bleachers, concrete benches, if you will. And there's probably 25 kids there. And they're ranging in ages from 16 to maybe 21 years old. And there's a guy, a shorter, older gentleman with the whistle around his neck. And I realized this is obviously a coach. I'm not here to play a pickup game of volleyball. This is a full-on practice. Now, I'm 6'2", so I'm fairly tall. And every one of these guys was just about my height or taller, which says quite a bit if you know much about the culture of Vietnam, and most people are shorter. And we start to get into this practice, and they're encouraging me to practice with them. We went through hitting drills, digging drills, passing drills, every kind of drill you can imagine. With this language barrier, I still have the coach coming over to show me how to snap my wrist when I hit a ball, or to push my hips around and show me how to line up when I'm approaching for a hit. And it's pretty amazing. I come to find out that these kids are part of their developmental team, kind of like our Olympic squad. These are future, hopeful Olympians. Now, I've got to tell you a little bit about this gymnasium, because it was a dark, big gymnasium. There's no electricity, but it wasn't quite that dark because there were spots in the ceiling where it was literally falling apart, and the sun was coming down. And they invited me to stick around after we had done all these drills because they were going to have a full-on scrimmage. And they invited me to watch the scrimmage, and they separated into 2 teams, and some of these kids were simply amazing. You know, I feel like I'm a pretty good volleyball player, but the skill level there was at or above my skill level all the way around. What I find truly amazing is that after leaving that afternoon and traveling south in Vietnam, I thought to myself, you know, I wonder if these kids will ever remember me and this incident, because this is something that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Just a completely random encounter, showing up and being able to practice with a developmental squad in the middle of some little town in Vietnam. Truly amazing. Thank you.